Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Mulatto Vanguard back again with another video. So today I'm going to go in again on the discussion of the name designation. So this will be one of the, this is a very important topic, but I've covered it quite a bit the past couple weeks. This is, falls in line with the 9 criteria that J4 Conversations established. So I'm going to cover this one more time before I move on. But some interesting points just all throughout the data and the conversations I've had the past couple weeks. Just kind of wanted to, add some touch-ups on the, on the whole discussion. So starting off, right, the name designation. What should we call ourselves? That is the major question. As we find ourselves today, what should we call ourselves? Now, I can only speak for those who are biracial, black and white, meaning mulatto, right? But obviously, the term mulatto doesn't sit well with everybody. But what I'm actually analyzing and I'm seeing is a lot with the younger generation. So even people like myself, who's a millennial, but Z's, people are definitely beginning to find a sense of pride in the word and connecting themselves with the history and the people. So that's definitely a positive thing, right? A positive direction, depending on how you look at it. So for me personally, I choose the word mulatto, right? And so just, firstly, I don't use broad and ambiguous words. Me, myself, I like to be specific, which mulatto is specific, meaning European and African ancestry, half and half. So I don't use broad and ambiguous words. So for instance, the word golden, you refer to yourself as a golden person. That is extremely broad and ambiguous. It can literally mean anything due to interpretation. Anybody can be golden, all inclusive. Something for everyone is nothing for no one, which is a major sociology concept. Another term or an acronym that we have is MLS. You definitely hear that in these spaces, right? So this is internet talk here. The real world, outside the internet, you don't hear anyone say MLS. So for, MLS, mixed light skin, which could literally mean anything, right? Any variation of any ethnic group could be mixed with something and they could be light skinned. Doesn't matter their genetic background or heritage. So it's extremely broad and ambiguous. Moving along. Another, kind of popular acronym within these spaces is MGM, which would mean multi-generationally mixed, which is extremely broad and ambiguous. It could mean anything, right? Due to interpretation. So when you think of MGM, people technically, in these spaces is essentially black is what they're saying with a little bit of white admixture. But just from my observation, when you look at the words for what they, what it says, MGM, multi-generational mix, it could be, any variation of any ethnic or genetic, heritage. It could be, so of course, a white person, a Caucasian person who has maybe some Native American DNA, which a lot of Caucasian people in America do. They would classify and fall under the line of an MGM because they're multi-generationally mixed, right? This is why using broad and ambiguous language is not as helpful as you would think. It's too inclusive and you essentially water yourself down and nobody knows what the hell you're talking about. And, as well as a term mixed, I'm mixed race. Well, what do you mix with? That could mean anything. In America, there's so many, people have essentially been, it's been amalgamating for so many generations. Like I said, a large percentage of people who are Caucasian in America have Native American, blood. It's same thing with a lot of the African American population in America have Caucasian blood and Native American blood, right? So these things can be tricky. If this is, the way you want to go, then that's definitely something you can pursue. But and also the word as far as like biracial, right? Biracial essentially can mean any variation of two. So, it's funny. I remember there's a gentleman who's definitely phenotypically presented as a Mexican male, brown skin. His skin was darker than mine, right? And this gentleman was telling me, he was telling me that he was biracial. And I kind of looked, was like, okay, because this gentleman had a Mexican mother and a white father, Caucasian father. So I thought it was interesting. But he said he was, biracial, but he was just definitely presenting as just purely, Latino or Mexican American. So when you walk around saying you're biracial, it really doesn't really mean anything. You could be, like I said, Caucasian, Hispanic, Asian, Hispanic, African American, Asian, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's too ambiguous. There is no specifics to it. So I like to be direct and specific when I'm communicating with people and when I'm trying to, add some clarity to things, right? So like I said, reiterating, I like mulatto because of how familiar people are with it. It's very simplistic. People know exactly what you're talking about. There's less room for ambiguity. And, as I've learned, there's many people who feel indifferent towards the word mulatto for various reasons. I've already explained these reasons in my video clips, the Mulatto Defined, right? Kind of went into detail about those, and I had an interesting conversation with Toenail Breaker about this very specific topic. So some words that I've seen pop up that are very intriguing, that I do like the ring of it, is Afropean. So shout out to, there's a YouTuber here. She has a channel. Her name's Afropean Monica. She does like kind of travel vlogs from what I've seen from her channel. So check that out. It's pretty cool. So I do like I like that sound and how it kind of rings, Afropean. Then of course, with, like I said, with Toenail Breaker, talking to him, he mentioned the word EuroAfric. So yeah, the first time I've ever heard the word EuroAfric is from Toenail Breaker. So so going into kind of EuroAfric, I can dive into a little detail about it. Kind of says the cross-cultural interactions between Europeans and Africans were mercantile driven and an avenue to boost social capital for economic and political gain, i.e. wealth and power. The growth and development of Christianity during the colonial period also instituted motifs of modernity, Euro-African identity. This model created a spectrum of practices ranging from a full celebration of native African customs and a total embrace of acculturation of European culture. So that was a little short paragraph within the Wikipedia search of the kind of Gold Coast Euro-Africans, right? And so there's definitely, I'll leave a link for that reference there for Euro-Africans, for people who are interested in that. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm sticking with the word mulatto for myself until further notice, until we can get enough people to kind of galvanize and, obviously as civilized people have a vote, decide where we go from there. The word mulatto is recognized around the world globally, right? And so, there's people who feel a certain way about the history and what it means, etymology, where it comes from Spain to the Arabic world, et cetera, et cetera. The fact is, it's globally recognized, globally used. Okay, I've been to Ghana, and nobody called me, a Euro-African. But I heard the word mulatto uttered in West Africa. So it's very intriguing. And like I said, I've talked to Filipinos here in America who are extremely familiar of the concept and what a mulatto is. And in South America as well. So we have these examples. So yeah, I just definitely, wanted to throw that out there for you guys and share that. Kind of my final thoughts for now, because this conversation is very relevant. We'll be having it again, but I definitely want to move on to some other serious discussions that I feel is important. So next, I'll be covering the significant mass portion of the presentation. So with that, I'm going to sign off and I'll talk to you guys next time.